Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast episode 474. Same in the front, same in the back. It's a palindrome.
Party in
your
the front,
host.
party in the back.
Exactly. I'm one of your hosts, Todd-a-show, here to bring the geek fun. It's been great. It's becoming the summer of Friends. It's going to be a good year. I can feel the vibe. The summer of movies have started, and we are probably already losing. Welcoming along the journey is Charlie Carden.
I checked of the two movies are out. I think Fall Guy was at like 35 million and Apes was at, I think, 30 or 35. So both of them are just like, I put it in our bracket. I plugged it in our bracket for all of our guard. But anyway, not to get deep in the woods. Good evening, friends. Great to have you listening to my voice, no matter what time of the day it is. When you're listening, it's good to have you.
Yeah. So this is going to be a pretty relaxed episode. Nothing really hot and heavy is happening in the world of nerd right now, which is probably a good thing. We need some time to breathe.
We'll get there. We're about to, and it'll be next month, but we're going to start our 5-week run up to Deadpool and Wolverine by watching 5 films from the X-Men series. So that'll be our Thunderdome topic for 5 weeks in a row. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, doing something a little bit different. It's going to be fun. I think everybody's going to be along for the ride, so hopefully you enjoy that. We're going to look to have some people come on and actually talk about the films, which will be fun as well. But before we do that, we want to say thank you to our Patreon Secret Friends Squad. These are the people that support our show every week. We thank you so much because of that. If they're a Patreon member at the Friends with Benefits level, you get no ads, you get all the audio, you get all the video. At the lower level, you pay $2, you get all of our content. Thank you so much for doing that. And at the BFFs level, you get shout outs on our Patreon shows.
You're getting
as
it.
Well. Yeah. So with that though, for $2, you can get all of our awesome content. So with that though, I want to say thank you to the Friends with Benefits, Johnson Dorf, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, Corey in HD, Matthew Keel. Thank you so much for getting those awesome benefits, and hopefully you're enjoying them. And then our BFFs, Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, and Missy Merchant. Thank you so much, and be on the lookout for more awesome things like Charlie's first Secret Friends Unite Spotlight episode.
You bet. Yeah, just dropped today. I talked to a great nonfiction Star Trek author named Tom Salinsky, a Brit, who wrote a great book about watching every episode of the Heritage Star Trek series, which is also something that we have been doing and will be doing for about another year and a half-ish over on Code 47. So that's the pretty good segment. Then, of course, Todd and I do enjoy our Spinner Rack, which is our chat about comics, and then my Facts Geek Life series, where we take a classic series and a season and break down a handful of episodes. As always, Secret Friends Unite, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, free 7-day trial. And Todd, what do I always say? Stick around.
Engage.
That works. Just engage and then stick around. Very good. All right. Yep. Well, we now have a recurring segment, in so much that we've done it twice.
As long as we get questions.
As long as we get questions. Our mailbag, which is available at our Secret Friends Unite Discord, and of course at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Send us a question. Anything in the sphere. It doesn't have to be a question. It can be a statement. I love blah, blah, blah. And you guys ripped on it. Blah, 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 anything it is. We want to hear from you. But anyway, we've got a mailbag. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So and put it on Threads, put it on our Discord group, put questions even on our Facebook podcast page. There's a place for you to reach out to us anytime. Along with that, check out our Threads, our LinkTree, and that has all the ways to reach us and leave a message. So there you go. Our mailbag this week is brought to you by Ryuketsu 2043, better known as Clint Coombs. Thank you so much, Clint, for this. He's an awesome dude. We had him on the show. He is such a fun, and I found out he's kind of old like me. He's got a senior and a kid. So I mean, all geeks, they're getting older, have older kids. So, but Clint asks, Always has been a fan of movies coming out with a black and white version, such as Mad Max Fury Road, and the last being Godzilla Minus One. Are the folks at Secret Friends Unite a fan of this? And if so, what movies would you like to see get the black and white treatment? Have fun with the show. Thank you, Clint.
And we do. I've got an easy one to kick it off because one does exist, and I believe I had it when I purchased this many years back. And it's something we'll be talking about. And Todd, if you so dare, we could watch the black and white version instead of the color version. That would be Logan from 2017. Very dramatic in black and white, and I think it really does underscore, Todd, as you've said time and again, it's kind of connective tissue to being like Unforgiven, which was not a black and white film, but always felt like it really could be, because it's the, a Western about the old warrior giving it one last crack. So that'd be my one that I can think of.
I have two. So the first one would actually be the first Captain America film.
Dun 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 dun.
And they could transition to color when he wakes up in modern times. I think that could really work really well. Because
what would be really cool is they keep it in black and white, even when that shield agent is trying to fake him out when he wakes up. But then when he throws a guy through the wall and jumps out, then it's color. Because otherwise you give it away. You know what I mean?
True. That's a great idea. Kind of like the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy.
Right, yes, the Wizard of Oz.
It pops. The other one I thought that would be very cool. It's not a movie, but it is Band of Brothers. That series. I think that could work very well. And at the very end of the series, you do see the end credits with all of the people in modern times, and you make that color. You dropped it in, but I think there's so many options for this because your mind immediately goes to things that are in the past.
Well,
like
Todd,
Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman could have done that as well. I think could have worked really well.
Todd, that's just the thing. When they recorded Captain America in 1941, the world was black and white. Everybody knows.
Oh, that's found footage.
Movie only became color in the late 1960s, like when the original Star Trek came out. So because it's a historical document, it's in black and white.
I was going to say it's like when they colorize the Ted Turner movies, when they colorize and people look salmon and they don't look like, oh, that looks perfect.
Salmon. Oh my gosh. All right, moving along.
Well, thank you, Clint, for that. Yes. And if you want to have your silly, fun question answered, probably badly, get back with us.
Badly is it's kind of our wheelhouse. Anyway, this week's cover. Now, Todd, this is interesting. February of 1972, we have X-Men, or rather what became known to be the Uncanny X-Men, because there was a adjectiveless X-Men title, which famously started in the 1990s. Issue 74, 20-cent cover price. We have, I'm going to say I know who this is, but I don't think I'm going to be right. We have a villain whose name is not given. It's simply, and he has an eyeball. He says, "Your eye beams are no match." I thought it said for my mullet, but it says amulet. Cyclops, I'll kill you all. And it is the OG original X-Men. So we see Angel, who gets shot, right in the small of the back, or right in between the shoulder blades. That hurts. And he's zapping Iceman, Cyclops, Beast, like right on the side of the head. And I can't believe I see Jean in the background. I can't believe she's not like, F this. She takes off. She's the only person who's not getting zapped. Well, Cyclops doesn't, but he blocks it. And the blurb at the bottom is "Cry, the guy's foot in Holocaust." This guy looks a lot like, but I'm pretty sure he's not. I had to think about this when I saw it, and I didn't look it up. The Living Pharaoh, who was a Egyptian themed supervillain in this space, appeared in like Marvel Team Up. Had his own Marvel graphic novel, which I think was his final appearance. He died in it or some such. But since I know you did some actual research, who is this villain?
It's LT Gray.
Is that like T.H. Lawrence?
They're hanging with the Mayans.
Is he an author? I mean, because he's got yellow skin, like yellow, not like it's a color that skin is not. Okay, he's wearing a skirt.
He's a Simpsons
and,
character.
and I was going to say for a moment he lost a game and pinned the tail on the donkey, but he's got one in front. So what do they call that when you have like a piece of cloth in the front and the back? Is that a loin cloth? I guess
That's a good question. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
and
like
then
up with like Mayan gear. It looks like. I mean, now I can see
yeah,
it.
and the top half of him he has like an arc reactor, like Iron Man, so that's very familiar. And then he has like a bicep band on one side but not on the other, and then he has a headdress a la the Mayan or potentially indigenous
So
person, Native American
I have
kind
a
of deal.
revision, Charlie. That is El
Okay.
Tigre, actually in the embodiment of Kulakan, who is a Mayan god.
LT Gray was LT Gray, Lieutenant Gray.
Yes.
Oh
Tiger.
my gosh.
Grar.
Oh my goodness.
You want a fun fact about this one, Charlie?
Do I?
This is actually a reprint of issue 26 because
That's
66
right.
was the last issue of the X-Men before it went on hiatus and came back. It was essentially 24 issues, I believe.
Yeah, it was bi-monthly. Was it bi-monthly or once a quarter? And it was just reprints.
Just reprints, yeah. So the last title
and then
was
they didn't pick up again till issue 94, which followed Giant Size X-Men.
Exactly,
Yeah,
which
I remember.
I mean, apparently that's how you did it. So yeah, they had issues 67 through 93, which lasted 5 years essentially.
So weird. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you know what? Holocaust probably not a good thing to put on your cover.
Yeah, that is a very traditional deal about bad optics. But you know who knows about bad optics? Because she was there for the good, the bad, and the ugly of the optics. That would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. Down as always at the corner of Hollywood and Vine at 124 years young with all the latest scoops. Let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, Madam Webb, you are getting up in age where now your vision's not going so well. You got to get the glaucoma taken care of. The good news is Cyclops said he will loan you his visor, so you don't have to worry about anything. You won't have to worry about any damage coming to your eyes. And one of your latent mutations might come into play, and you might be able to beam out a light or see X-ray vision, and then you might be able to see Wolverine naked.
Maybe she'll shoot soup. She seems like a soup kind of gal. Anyway, oh my gosh. All right, so Todd, you are the Masters of the Universe guy. Masters of the Universe, heritage property from our youth. It's owned by Mattel, if I'm not mistaken. And it did have a feature film in the 1980s, 1987, starring Dolph Lundgren in the titular role, and of course Tom Paris, and Courtney Cox, pre-fame, and Frank Langella, who's a great actor. I don't know that I've ever seen it. I'm
Charlie.
struggling to remember if I've ever seen it.
If you wanted to do a bad trip to the movie, I would do that with you for that film.
It's a date. We're doing it. It's going on the list.
We're doing it live. Yeah. So
Live.
that is the history of, Master of the Universe. More, it's kind of, good animation, fun times that you look back on. It's not so great. Then they made like the New Adventures of He-Man, which was a trash bag in a dumpster fire. I don't know who liked that. There's probably one fan of that show. I would love to meet that person because I don't know.
Please,
on it.
secretfriendsunite@gmail.com.
Talk to me. Then we did get the movie, which obviously we'll talk about. Well, I think there will be more to say about that movie, but I would say if you're curious, check it out. You'll come away very confused. But
look forward to
they
it.
relaunched Master of the Universe in the late 90s, early 2000s on the Cartoon Network. Really good update of the cartoon. Highly watchable. I remember when I was in Saudi Arabia, Chris was sending me videotapes of things she would tape for me. I got to watch that. It was great. Loved it. And then we got the most recent She-Ra series, which a lot of people like on Netflix. And then we also got the more modern version of He-Man, Master of the Universe, The Revelation and Revolution. I still need to watch the new one. I haven't watched it yet, by Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a couple and it didn't really grab me. So I guess we're both guilty.
So I would say He-Man's probably an upswing, at least in regards to the animation, which is great. the toy line is very successful still. They do some weird things I don't understand, but I and Charlie, one of my son's fellow Taekwondo peers, her husband is the biggest Master Universe fan I ever met. Really
I
nice
have
guy, and he's deep
there's
into it.
There's a guy in the figure collecting community here in West Michigan who goes by the handle Motu Joe, so MOTU,
Okay.
Masters of the Universe
Yeah,
Joe.
the Motu,
And that's his sweet spot. There's another dude, Justice Curry. He lives out on Lake Michigan Lakeshore. He's a huge collector vendor, and I know at Masters is one of his lines. So
Oh yeah,
I
Many
remember
collectors still a big deal. Yeah.
I know very firmly that I had a box of them that I gave, like when I gave up the line, I gave them away, which was just dumb. However, there is now identical product in the store.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'll send you a picture every once in a while. I'm like, Todd, look at Skeletor. And of course, Evil Bad Skeletor is the only meme website I really care about.
Unemployed Skeletor.
It's just as nasty and disgusting as I
Okay,
am.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, highly
Unemployed
recommend it.
Skeletor. If you've never seen him before, Charlie, he's very funny too. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great like YouTube meme mimic thing from the early
Memery.
early 2000s. But what I'm getting to is
Yes.
there has been talks to get the Masters of the Universe film made since 2007, Charlie.
Wow.
This thing has been passed around. People have spent money on this. And quite honestly, now it's like, I think Netflix was the last one who spent a lot of money to develop this thing. And now
Yeah.
it's actually gonna get made. And Charlie, normally I wouldn't be excited about this, but they have one person involved in this project that makes me very excited, and that is Travis Knight.
Yes, yeah, the director of Bumblebee, which is quite frankly the only Transformers film in the last 25 years that's worth anything, I think, including the last one that we just watched. Yikes.
Yeah,
But
you know
this
who
is
Travis
exciting.
Knight is related to?
Not Travie McCoy from the Gym
No.
Class Heroes. Who's he related to? Suge Knight?
His father is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. So the dude comes from money,
Ben Affleck?
royalty. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. You know him. So this is going to happen at Amazon MGM Studio for a film in June 2026. Amazon has a shit ton of money, so they can fund this thing. And at this point, we don't know anything else except that I really like Travis Knight, all this work he did with Leica, with the stop motion things. I think he's done some great work there. And at this point, I don't know his history, but he's got a couple of years, June 2026. So he's got a couple of years, a year to probably develop, get the script and cast it. And Mattel is behind this because they're trying to really push their product to get this out there, get back in the zeitgeist beyond just the fanboys like myself. And it's going to be a reimagining. So Charlie, given that, and we've seen Barbie now with its success, we've seen things from the past that try to go hardcore like G.I. Joe, try to be extreme. Their movies just, don't work because they're trying to make it not what it truly is.
They're trying to bend the IP. That's why G.I. Joe has failed, absolutely, because G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, has to turn into G.I. Joe, An International Force for Good, which was the big failure of the first film. That, the pit was under the Saharan desert, and it was this big, colors of Benetton, different actors around the world kind of thing. And it's just, it was just G.I. Joe.
There was no. Where's the parrot on Shipwreck's shoulder?
No
having fun.
Exactly.
Where's Quick Kick having a good time? Where's Bazooka telling kids not to take drugs?
Right, exactly, because that's all kids were doing in the 80s because it was the 80s. But anyway, this is great. 2 years is good, so it's in development. So no casting, no things of that nature. So big theatrical release, run by Amazon. That's pretty much what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, MGM. I mean, that's their studio now for making movies, which makes sense. And those movies will come to Amazon, Prime later. So it makes sense to have that theatrical presence and make some more money. So I'm hoping this is, quite honestly, I hope they just go all in and kind of like some lampooning some of the past history. Not going full Barbie, but maybe doing a little bit of the Brady Bunch movie and just having fun with the property.
Yeah, good stuff. Awesome. All right, let's do some let's pick up the pace here a little bit. We got 2 bites about the Fantastic Four. I'm thinking the way they're teeing this up, production is supposed to start at the end of July. I think it was a headline that I read today. will this be the thing that saves the MCU? Something's gotta, because they're
X-Men
kind of in a
97 already
creative.
did, Charlie.
I'm talking about on the big screen, babe. No, I totally agree with you, but it's great, but it's not the same. I mean, you know that as much as I do. And it's not the MCU because it's a separate continuity. It happens to be Marvel, but it's not the same. So anyway, we got two headlines of big casting. Actor Ralph Ineson, who is he's from your beloved Game of Thrones, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to scroll through your very
He was actually on the
ad-heavy link
original
here.
Office in the UK too.
Oh, and he was in that movie The Witch, I believe. Wasn't that a movie that we watched for Halloween?
Oh yeah, that was him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was also
Yes.
played a character in one of my most recent favorite video games, Sid. He's phenomenal. He can play comedic roles. He can play dark and dirty roles.
Sid from Ice Age? Got it.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice. Very nice. And so that's him in an unknown role. And then he's
going to be Galactus. He's Galactus.
Oh, I was thinking I was already onto the next tab. Yes, he's going to be Galactus, and he's a Brit. Will he be a Brit Galactus? Or as I reminded you that when something terrestrial ends up in space, it's space, whatever that is, because there's no Britain in space. The same reason why everybody from Star Wars, the people that had the British accent, they were all from Coruscant. That is a Coruscantian accent. So there you go. Even though Palpatine wasn't from there,
only the only people in the Empire.
Maybe
are,
he was just it was just mocked her.
The colonizers, Charlie. The next role that's been cast, and we don't know who it's going to be, is John Malkovich is in a secret role in the Fantastic Four film. At this point, we've had several people cast without their role being named, so this will be interesting. John Malkovich is not a young man, so you can't put him in a role that's going to require like stunt work.
He can't be
doing things.
A scrappy teen. He can't be Franklin, but aged slightly, not so slightly.
I know who he's going to be, Charlie.
Who's that?
He's going to be the voice of Herbie.
No.
Wouldn't that be great?
They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't dare. Oh my goodness. No, I'm excited. They're lining up the talent. And as we know, that doesn't really mean that it's going to be great, because how many films just don't really track that way, right? But I mean, there's a lot riding on this film being great. So when we're getting this next year, this is next summer's big tentpole, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if this movie has to save anything. I just want it to be good. And I think people will be excited for a movie that can come in knowing nothing and not having to do any homework. So Deadpool 3 and this seem to be their best chance to get people just to see something from Disney in Marvel and not having to be up to speed.
Right. And the great news is that this is set potentially outside of 616 prime continuity, but we know it's set in the 1960s regardless of where it is, so that's going to help a lot, because the only thing continuity wise that had happened up to then was Captain America, which would have happened 20 years prior to that and may have no bearing on this film at all. So I'm excited. This would be great. Fantastic Four is one of my true blue Marvel loves, and I've always wanted it to be right, and it was never more wrong than it was with 2015's Fantastic Four, which Todd didn't have to see. You're welcome. I'm going to keep telling you how welcome you are until this movie comes out. It'll come out on the 10th anniversary of that disastrous flick, which, like I said, 2015.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Speaking of things that should go, and I love this picture because I'm reminded of one of my favorite recent episodes where you and I got to talk about a terrible movie was talking about the Fast and the Furious film that came out last summer. Because I know you were particularly fond of how at the end, full spoilers, friends, as he's racing down the dam, his car it wasn't either absorbing or blowing fire. He was blowing fire backwards to keep the fire, like fire versus fire.
There's some physics going on that only Vin Diesel can control.
So anyway, that's what this picture reminded me of. But yeah, Vin Diesel got a real mad on to bring back the Chronicles of Riddick. And I feel like I've seen one of those movies because Katie Sackhoff was in it, and I heard she took her top off and Sorry, I'm Only Human. So I was curious, and I saw it, and I was not happy that I did. Because it was no gem. That might have been one of the Triple X films. I don't understand. But isn't Riddick like he's like part alien and he's on Mars? I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so this whole Riddick thing, so basically the first movie that introduced the character of Riddick was called Pitch Black.
There you go.
Essentially happened in space, and he was an ex-con getting transported, and he had the ability to basically see in the dark.
There we go.
And then he landed on they crash landed on a planet where there were these creatures.
There
and he
we
ended
go.
up, showing his heroism. Well, that then turned into there was a video game that actually was pretty well done, and at this point when Vin Diesel did this, he was kind of like an up and comer, like, oh, this is pretty good. Then he decided that this Riddick character should be part of like a huge franchise that he wanted to make happen.
It's what everybody wants. Todd, I too want to be a huge franchise. Can't you tell?
I am a franchise, Charlie.
I
am. So we got the Chronicles of Riddick. There were a couple of them. There's been like an anime, and they got Helen Mirren to be involved, which I don't know. His name is Richard B. Riddick, which is a great name. That's like that's a Stan Lee name if I ever heard one made. Richard Riddick.
I'm telling you, Todd.
Peter Parker.
Who is in terrible movies but is an incredible actor? Anthony Hopkins, because he was just in the Rebel Moon movies as the robot guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I love this, Charlie. So essentially David Twalwee?
Yeah, I know that name.
Is going to be back. Yeah, he's the longtime writer and director of the franchise. He's going to helm the 4th installment. Diesel will star and produce the sequel. And then essentially, he actually made a deal with the devil because at one point he was not going to come back to the Fast and Furious franchise. But he said, if I come back, you got to give me the rights to the Riddick franchise. So that's how it happened, Charlie. Came back. He's got this. And we haven't had a Riddick film.
Todd, when he said it, did he do this?
Probably over a decade.
Do it with me.
Family?
Make the Riddick face, or make the family face, and then flex your arms.
Is he going to be sleeveless? I'm sure he asked for that to happen. I have to be sleeveless in every film.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God.
Here we go. Oh, the last film, Riddick, was 2013. So it will, if this happens in 2025, 26, 12
almost
years.
15 years. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I cannot say, I mean, I go see the Fast and Furious films to heckle them. You know what I mean? I know that there are
you don't see them just for Vin Diesel.
He is the last remaining box office draw. Just ask him. When he and that's that was probably the beef between he and Dwayne Rock Johnson is the rights.
Well, apparently in the next movie, he nobody wants to be in scenes with him. So essentially, the next Fast and Furious film, he will be on his own with no family, but talking about family.
Right. But my family. Where are they? It's the search for the family, and he finds them He finds them at the last minute, but it's not in a 2-shot. It's in an edited shot, or they CGI them in. I think. Oh my gosh, I don't know. We will find out. I don't even know when the next Fast and Furious opus is supposed to come out.
Holy cow! Yeah, it's got to be next summer, right? Because we're left on that cliffhanger on that bridge that exploded, Charlie.
Oh my God, that he used the fire to push it backwards. Anyway, all right. So you know what people like? Batman, and you know what people also sort of like is J.J. Abrams. So we have J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. Now Matt Reeves is a Batman guy. Did he direct the last film, the one with Robert Bat? Was that him?
Yes, and he's also executive producing the Penguin series.
The Penguin. So anyway, Amazon Prime Video, which you have anyway, is putting out an animated Batman series that starts in August. And we have a screen cap here. That is a very traditional Batman. Todd, no purple gloves. That's one of my Batman figures is your OG.
I never understood the purple gloves.
Batman
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Well, that's why.
Look at this, though.
I never understood the red and blue Spider-Man, which is why, frankly, I don't care for. I prefer the black Spider-Man because it makes sense that if he was fighting in the night and swinging around, why would he be wearing red and blue? It just doesn't make sense. But anyway,
Yeah,
Sim-
so the image here is more of a throwback to like the original way the Batman looked with really big pointy ears.
yeah.
So that's kind of
Big
neat,
ears
very
Batman.
minimalist.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like this. Bruce Timm is involved, which is great because he's the man behind the animated series. And this
Nice.
originally was not going to be like it was going to be canceled, not being putting out by Max. So the
Yeah.
fact that it's coming to at this point, this is coming to which
Prime. I just said it's
right,
gonna be on
sorry,
Amazon Prime. That reminds me of the fact that we still don't have the second season of Star Trek Prodigy. Netflix owns it. Netflix showed and had success of the first season. We got some footage reflecting like Robert Picardo is the doctor who's going to be a prime character with the young kids, and absolutely nothing else revealing. Maybe after Discovery wraps up in a few weeks. Fingers crossed.
well, Netflix France had it, Charlie. So you should have
Yeah.
subscribed.
And then it was gone, yes, and then work on my French. So, but anyway, yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, like I said, everybody loves Batman. BTAS, or Batman the Animated Series, which aired on Fox Kids, 85 episodes from 1992 to 1995, was a classic that came on my, I think, junior year of high school. So it was a very, very big deal. But yeah, it's very similar. This was, as you said, produced by Max, and it was scrapped, and then Amazon picked it up. So yeah, I look forward to this. And Todd, let's do a deep dive before this drops. Maybe we'll pick 5 great episodes of BTAS and watch them.
Sure.
And talk about them.
Yeah,
That'll
absolutely.
be a Thunderdome we do after we do the Deadpool and Wolverine thing.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned who the voice actors will be. Obviously, we won't get a lot of the previous actors, which is fine because I think
Right.
it's good to start fresh. But I
Sure.
love the fact that the imagery they're going with, Charlie. It reminds me of the old Superman Max Fleischer cartoons from like the
Oh, so
early
it's
40s. Because
super
if you
classic, right?
look down, it's very iconic to that look. I mean, even the
Right.
Catwoman look is from like the Catwoman of like the 40s
That's
era.
nice.
So
I
I
like
like
that.
this.
I like that. Cool. Well, good deal. Well, like I said, I'm a total advocate of doing a deep dive and and picking somewhere between 3 and 5 episodes and doing a nice breakdown. Okay, last story. James Wan discussed to potentially direct a 4th Spider-Man film. Spider-Man No Way Home was an excellent film. I'm not going to lie to you. Even as a Spider-Man fan, it bummed me out so much I've never watched it again. Which is
Aw,
it's kind of
I
typical
liked
because
it.
I mean, no, I just said I liked it very much, but it was very sad. But then again, it was very prime Spider-Man because Spider-Man is a very tragic character. Crappy things happen to him all the time. But you know what? I was going through a tough period of my life, and maybe I had too much sadness, and I just didn't want to revisit. But so what my point in saying that is that I'm really looking for a Spider-Man film to turn that around. To bring Tom Holland's Spider-Man back into light and have everybody remember him again. Directors are being kicked around. Wan's name was dropped. Drew Goddard's name, Cabin in the Woods. Sam Raimi, of course, from the classic Tobey Spider-Man. Justin Lin, Fast and Furious, and Star Trek Beyond. And the highly unlikely, John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, who gave us Dungeons and Dragons, which we both liked
Which
very
I
much.
love that film. They have a
Absolutely.
good tone. They could do a great job
You
with
bet.
it. Yeah.
And of course, the least likely being Jon Favreau, who of course gave us Iron Man, and now it belongs to Spider-Man or belongs to Star Wars.
Early, he's got to, that's the only way he's going to be Happy Hogan again, right? So he's like, get
Right.
me in a movie.
Got to do it. But yeah, there's talk of Wan directing, and there's the talk of making the Black Cat a focus character. I think that would be great, particularly with Peter, having to live this new life where nobody knows who he is. Have the Black Cat. The Black Cat very famously rejected Peter Parker's true identity, and she was in love with Spider-Man to the point where when he unmasks, she had a panic attack and told him to put his mask back on because she couldn't love Peter Parker. So that would actually, now that I'm talking about it, really thematically fit.
Your face is hideous. Put it back on.
The thing is, Peter Parker's really handsome. Tom Holland's really handsome. So yeah,
Just
this
wear
would
the
be
mask. Just wear the mask, Charlie.
the fact that they're kicking around directors means they're probably 6 to 12 months away from rolling camera on this. So this is a 2027 film, if at all.
And I love it.
Yeah,
I
love it.
This is essentially them once again starting over from scratch with
Right.
Spider-Man, because
Big time.
nobody know who he is. He's basically at this point he'd have to again share his friendships, and it's Peter down on his luck with nothing
Right.
to help him out, because this feels like a classic Spider-Man, which is cool. And
Big
Charlie, let
time.
me just tell you right now, Black Cat, played by Jojo Siwa.
I was going to yell out the line you yelled before we started rolling. I'm not going to do
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So this would be
Don't
great.
do it.
I
Yep.
am, as I've talked about many times, Spider-Man is my number one hero. It's the biggest part of my collection, which got my camera. I'm facing the wrong way, but my figures are in front of me, and Spider-Man is, well, you can see all my webbed Spider-Man hanging along the top here. So yeah, I love Spider-Man. Tom Holland is my cinematic Spider-Man. I've loved his work more than any other. But I would like to see him get a win and be brought back into the fold. So all right, well, that takes us out of the news. Todd, time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. Get us down to the Geek Easy, but as we slide in to that car and he flips on the radio, all of a sudden I'm hearing this message.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. Well, I tell you, I am loving the fact that X-Men 97 is coming back every week with a new episode that is great and exciting.
It's a revolution.
And
yeah.
Dipping its toe into, kind of the comics that I was so into the X-Men at that time, early 90s, college era Todd,
Yep.
into these comics. And, anybody who is not aware of what's going on, like a lot of people who had missed the comics are like, oh, these are great. I love this. Are the comics as good? I'm like, they are adapting the comics directly. So
Crazy.
They're taking some, they're basically taking the storylines and pulling different things. I love it.
Right.
It's fantastic. They're having fun with it. So, I feel like those who have not read those comics are in for a wild ride. Like I know what's coming. And especially this episode, just for anybody who's not watched it, spoilers starting now.
Boom.
So Charlie, episode 8.
Yep.
Magneto was right, apparently.
Asteroid M. I didn't
That's
see.
right.
Did I miss when he tossed that together? Did he have that before this episode, or he was like,
Well,
I got Asteroid M?
Well, Asteroid M was a thing that happened in the 90s. That was a big part.
Oh,
with the
no! I
acolytes.
totally got
Yeah.
it. I just can't remember in the concourse of the series if he did it or if it was from.
Well, he brought it up from
it's
basically
a big old chunk of Earth. Yeah,
from the sea.
Right.
Brought that up. Yeah, did the thing.
From the sea.
And this became the big divide between Xavier, who's back now,
Right.
and the fact that Genosha, we now know that was attacked and brought on by
Right.
Signor Sinistare and
Oh, yes.
Bastion.
And I never knew much about Sinister until this series. I didn't realize kind of what his deal was. So that's kind of like I knew about him, and I knew he was the was he Inferno? Was that his big arc? Was he part of that deal?
Inferno was the Goblin Queen, but tied with Madeline Pryor. Yeah, so he's a part of that.
Yeah, there you go.
He's part of a lot of things. The Mutant Massacre was a big part that he was a part of as well.
I gotcha.
There was a great comic series about Mr. Sinister, and you see how far back he goes.
Right.
The dude goes back to like the 18th century.
That's what I learned about him.
Cool. Yeah. So the fact that we got this, and then we essentially did get the battle between, the divide between the mutants and Magneto and Xavier. And it was funny because the last part of this episode, Charlie, were you surprised what happened?
I was aware of this being a portion of the comics, being that I have a more than passing familiarity with kind of how that stuff went down. I think it was handled great in so much that they accomplished it, but in a typical cartoon fashion, it reminded me of like the Bad Batch, how when somebody gets shot, you'll see the person doing the shot, and then you'll see a cut of the reaction of the person getting shot and then falling over. So you don't see them take a blaster bolt to the chest. So it was the same thing. And as we said, full spoilers, this was in reference to Magneto after being stabbed in the back. So he was suffering or dying anyway. Used his power to essentially pull Magneto's adamantium right off his skin, but they simply
Wolverine's.
What did I say?
Magneto's adamantium.
He was doing it to himself. Yes, but they showed it. It's simply in a still frame of Wolverine going, which is
all the adamantium getting pulled out. Which, quite honestly, that comic book, I know the panel so well because I remember when it happened. When basically same thing, they took it directly from the comic and did it right in the
and they just did the panel without the animation, but
which was phenomenal.
You're right, to just kind of dial back the gruesomeness of it. So yes, now and we have one episode left this week. So if you listen to this on Tuesday, right?
I think there's 2. I think it's go to 10. So I think there's 2 more.
I thought it was 9, but you know what? We'll find out. But yeah, very, very exciting. It's one of the more exciting things that we've seen on Disney Plus for Marvel. In a long time. They're really nailing it. So I know that a lot of people have a ton of excitement about that. And just so crazy to me because those episodes of X-Men 92 that we watched did not click with me at all, where this is like, boom.
It's a lot of nostalgia, but done right.
Correct.
Which is great because this is not tied to any continuity except for what they got from the comics and did this. So I'd love to see Marvel and Disney Plus do more things like this from other comics, where it's like, it doesn't have to be the MCU. Pull in everything else and just tell cool stories. It works. And this is the most excited I've seen for people with a Marvel property on Disney Plus
at all.
maybe ever.
Yeah, exactly. In the 4 years since they've been doing this stuff. All right, what else you got?
Yeah, so spoilers over for X-Men if you're back now. I don't think this is spoilers, but if you've been watching, a lot of advertisements for Doctor Who on Disney Plus now.
Yes,
it's official. It's official now. Doctor Who new episodes in the US. The home is Disney Plus. You can still get it in BBC and over the pond. Disney is basically funding these episodes.
And now, quick sidebar, because John and I are going to go back and keep watching more modern Doctor Who for the Facts Geek Life. Are those still on Max? So is it just this?
Yeah. So anything before this season and this Doctor
is on Max.
Are on Max.
Very good.
Yes.
Good to know.
It goes up to the female Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker. Got it.
Specials. So they're basically 3 60th anniversary specials that include David Tennant. It's already out there.
Yeah.
Spoiler. I watched the first special, and then my family does not follow your family's view, Charlie, where you got to watch everything. They're just like, I just want to jump into the new Doctor.
Yeah, and with Doctor Who, it's not actually possible, because there are some Doctor Who segments from the beginning that do not exist because they've been lost. So just
jump in. Doctor Who is very much, you can jump into any generation,
and that's nice. And that's a notion that April has had that is kind of dispelled over time. So it's like you can jump in. We watched the most recent episode of The Simpsons because of something that I'm going to talk about. I said, well, I want to see how The Simpsons is doing these days, and it's definitely different. Just based on the fact that Julie Kavner's voice sounds like she's 112 years old. Her voice has really changed. I don't know.
She is 40 years older than when she started that show.
Exactly.
Probably.
But Dan
Yeah.
Castellaneta sounds the same. In my opinion, it's weird. But anyway,
I forgive age, the
Yeah.
fact that they would have
We got
but
to.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so basically we have these Doctor Who specials where David Tennant came out. I watched the first one, talked about that one already, but the one that we watched recently was really the first full episode of the new Doctor.
Okay.
And his name is
Doctor Who. Doctor Who. He's called
Yes,
Doctor Who.
Yes, his name is Doctor Who. He is black, a black doctor.
Handsome
He is,
black fella. Absolutely.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, Nakuti Gatwa. He's the 15th Doctor, and I think he is originally from Rwanda. Actually,
wow.
He has dual citizenship. Moved to the UK, and he started acting in 2013.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think of like what he actually did. He's done a lot of stage acting.
Okay.
And he is, I believe, basically out there as an LGBTQ actor. So he is
good.
Yeah. And actually, they've incorporated that, and I know a lot of people are not going to like this, Charlie, but they've incorporated into this Doctor.
Yeah,
fully embraced it.
I'm wondering how that's going to land, but you know what? You got to take swings because you have to have your entertainment reflect the world that you live in. Otherwise, what do you got?
Exactly. So it doesn't shy away with it, and you feel this is a bold direction with the Doctor when you see him on, doing when he's first introduced to the character that is going to be his companion, which is cool. And the story is kind of goofy and fun, which I loved a lot. It's essentially a Christmas story with mischievous elves. So that's all you need to know. It's goofy. It's fun. Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. Now, I will say, a lot of people may be taken aback by it, but he's got a lot of energy. And I think that's the thing. With a lot of doctors so reserved and things like, he is just a different doctor, a different sensibility. And I love that. We've got, the writers that are back to the show are the writers that wrote primarily Tennant and Matt Smith.
Good.
And because of that, the showrunner, Russell T Davies, they're back. So I think this is a great new direction. I think it'll be fun. I feel bad for Jodie. She got bad writing, bad show direction, and I hope she gets an opportunity maybe to come back and kind of one of those cameos you see with the other doctors.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a good time to get back into the Doctor.
Awesome. Good deal. All right. This last one you have, we both saw it, right? You didn't mention to me that you had finally gone to see it.
Well, no. This is the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This is the first.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So I'll just really quick tell you. I told you previously, I'm not sure about these Planet of the Apes movies. I've never seen one. So Charlie, because everybody was talking about how much they love these films, I finally watched the first one.
Okay.
From 2013,
and that's on Max, right?
It is, and. No, actually, it's on Disney. All these movies are on Disney because they own it.
I just always like to put in the show notes where people.
2011, I think. I think it's 2011. And I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I was surprised.
James Franco, right? Yeah.
Yep, and
John Lithgow.
His name, John Lithgow, and. I wasn't sure I was going to like this film because I'm like, I don't want to see animals abused. I don't want to see them beaten, which, when you animal experimentation, I don't love it. It makes me feel very sad and worried. But I really thought they did a hell of a job with it. It was cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I love the Caesar story, the relationship, with the human characters.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to see the other two now, which I wasn't before because I'm like, this franchise. So
I will tell you this. One thing looking forward is that each of the sequels, and then including we saw the new one, The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And Todd, are you planning to cap off seeing that once you've seen the other two?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get into it. I've heard a lot about the movie. I was just listening to a podcast about it.
Yeah,
I'm hearing because it's by a different director.
Yeah.
It's a kind of new ground they're going into. So,
but
I've heard it's got its problem.
We saw it over the weekend, and I found it the first half of it to be almost unbearably slow. I'll give you that pitch. But the two sequels that follow, time jumps are involved, and it's different characters each. The only really consistent characters are the apes. You know what I mean? So that's not a bad thing. But yeah, you're dealing with different humans. The next one has Felicity Russell and Kobe Smith McPhee, and the guy whose name I can never remember. He was in the one Terminator movie for like 2 seconds where he was the villain. I can't remember his name. You'll find out.
Smith?
No, what's it? Matt? No, not Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. He was in that Genesis, the one that was horrible.
It was
He
Genesis.
he was the bad guy in that
I think
one.
it was. Yeah. But then the third one, I can't remember who the humans are. Steve Zahn was one of the monkeys in the third one.
Was it Woody Harrelson was the bad guy in War of the Planet of the Apes?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, one
Yeah.
of the comic relief ape was Steve Zahn. So that was, you got that to look forward to.
So, it's funny because like I said, I wasn't sure about this.
Yeah.
I'm curious where they go with this, and hopefully they just don't tread familiar water with now. Oh, it's it's Charlton Heston's character now coming down to space and being that space.
I
feel like that's
I
where
will
they're at, right?
absolutely not give you any spoilers.
Oh
about Chuck
no, they
Heston.
did it.
I'm not,
But
not
I
saying
got
a damn
time,
thing.
and if I don't see it in the theater, it will be on Disney Plus eventually. Anyways.
Exactly.
But I feel bad for everything I said about the Planet of the Apes. I don't throw poo on me, Apes.
Yes,
I love you.
Yes, you give them
Good job.
retribution. All right. Well, I have a series of quick bites because I, on like a lot of weeks, ended up seeing a lot of new stuff. The show Hacks on Max is back. Show on Hacks Max is back. That's Jean Smart as an aging comedian, and she has a love-hate relationship with a writer who is an April, who's Google, always looking stuff up when we're watching. The daughter of SNL founder, one of the founding actors, Lorraine Newman. It's her daughter. Is the young
Nepo baby.
Not like Lorraine Newman is a big star. Let's face it. Sorry, don't throw trash at me. But
the question is she still alive? Because I have not. I would not know.
When I was looking them up on the Googs, she is not dead. But super fun show, and again, all seasons of that are on Max. And in season 3, obviously, I think it's doing a 1 or 2 a week drop. I think we've seen 3. So that's fun, and I enjoy it, and I recommend it. I saw a couple of days ago, and then I watched yesterday. The Simpsons did a Disney-themed, Star Wars-themed short that was literally, I think, 4 minutes, which dropped yesterday for Mother's Day. And it's a Mother's Day theme of Marge leading all the Disney princesses on a trip to Disney World. It's adorable. Like I said, very heavy Star Wars theme. A lot of very typical satirical Simpsons humor. They take a stab at Family Guy, of course, because it's always great to see that. So I would tune in. Again, 4 minutes and on Disney Plus, which frankly, you have it anyway. Todd talked about The Fall Guy last week. We saw it yesterday. I loved it. I loved it a lot more than I loved
Great film.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which we also saw. And as I mentioned, really dragged ass in the first part of it. Sorry, Todd, that is all I will tell you. I will tell you nothing else. And I think April tipped it off. She said it had a great sci-fi premise, but a lot of it was kind of all over the place. It would be a way to break that down. But
Gotta build the world, Charlie. What do they always say about world building? Gotta build that world.
I guess. And then to cap it off last weekend, and this must have happened in and around the time we recorded, 25th anniversary showing of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I didn't know it was going to be out there for a whole week. So I was like in a rush to see it over the weekend. But then I listened to all my friends who went to go see it all throughout the week, because I know Peter, my recording partner, saw it a couple of nights ago. It's still not a good film. And again, on Holocron Chronicles, Mark and I have a lot of these younger kids on who that was their first Star Wars film, and they got the rosy colored glasses. But when I see one of these revival films on the big screen, 2 things. One, I noticed that on the big screen in the modern age, the print looks very faded. They can only do so much for it. But one of those things, and this was my experience when I saw a 40th anniversary cut of Raiders of the Lost Ark at I think our local art institute back in 2001, or maybe I think it was a 25th anniversary print. So this would have been maybe in 2016. I noticed that one of the main Nazi guys had a big fake scar, and I had never seen that before, but having it on the big screen helped me see it. So in this film, the thing that I noticed that I never noticed before is at the end of the droid Gungan battle, when all the Gungans have their hands in the air because the droids are holding them hostage, there's a little robot about 3 feet tall walking around gathering up broken droid parts and putting them in a pile. Never noticed that in 25 years. Isn't that bizarre? That's all I have to say about that. Uh,
Well, and quite honestly, what they're showing is essentially what they've already remastered and done. So it's going to be a pristine version. It's not like it's sitting there in the thing. I mean,
well,
they've got
and that was another. It's funny because this is what I mentioned
Yeah.
April as we were driving away. When I first saw the film, I had a very clear memory in that Duel of the Fates when Maul, before they go into the big reactor room and all the different stuff when they're still in the hangar, he force gestures a chunk of a droid to smash a panel to open up that door. In any print besides the big screen, you don't see how that happens. In this big print on the screen, you saw it happen. So I believe that, like you said,
That's weird.
it's because of the letter. It's because of the aspect ratio. So anyway, that's gone now. It did really well.
Makes no sense because they do
I
all
know.
films in the ratio now.
I mean,
that was the letterbox back in the old days was basically a 4:3.
Yeah,
But everything now is widescreen. And
You're right.
The capture.
I'm telling you, and again, I don't know that I have, but I don't know that I've really studied it since. But if you go to watch it on Disney Plus, which is of course where you can see it, my fan theory. But anyway, the run did great. It did 12, 15 million, something like that. So my hope is, we will see future anniversary releases, including in 2027, the 50th anniversary of the original film. Big fingers crossed. So I'd be very excited. Of course, we've seen it on the big screen, but to see it in the modern parlance, I think will be pretty exciting. All right, very long news segment. We're wrapping it up. Geek Easy segment. I apologize, but it is time to get the hell out of here. Todd, I don't know why they let us back in because we never pay our bill. Because you know what? They treat us like crap here. But we always keep coming back because the drinks are free when you don't pay. But anyway, I'm going to get out that Air Qantas app. It's time to get us to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the mutants await for us to play a game for their amusement. It's the return of Todd-a-show.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained, and this week we're doing Todd-a-show. If you don't know what Todd-a-show is, this is essentially, we normally pick something, and then we essentially have to make it up as we go along. We just typically know a title, we come up with our plot, and then we
So
basically...
it's our version of, even though we have a segment called Pitch Meeting.
Kind of like Pitch Meeting, yeah.
I'm going to need you to get all the way off my back.
Yeah, because we've done titles before, same thing with this. We know the titles, but this is basically us going to Disney and pitching one of their movies, considering neither of these movies we know anything about yet.
Right.
Disney has released nothing except maybe the cast. So our two movies in question are the MCU version of the Fantastic Four and the MCU version of Thunderbolts.
Right.
So I will basically pick one of them and give my
I won't look.
overall.
I'm not looking.
What is going to happen in this film?
Okay.
So, Charlie, to mix it up, I am going to give you my Todd-a-show of Fantastic Four.
Okay. All right. So
you have to do Thunderbolts.
All right. Tell me about the Fantastic Four as produced by Marvel Studios.
Okay. So Fantastic Four, we got a great director on hand. He is going to bring the fun and joy of the Fantastic Four to the screen. We're going to basically launch into the fact that the Fantastic Four, who already have their powers, they became back as celebrities from this awesome mission to the moon. They beat the Russians. They beat the Americans. They arrived. Apparently, you don't have to have much license to get a spacecraft up. You can have people that don't know what they're doing.
Jeff Bezos.
Be astronauts.
William
We
Shatner.
get some really great cosmic rays that transform our cast to give them their abilities, including the the uproarious Thing, Johnny Storm, Sue Storm, and Reed Richards. They come back. They have developed their powers. This has already happened. We're going to see this actually, Charlie, and kind of like the newsreel, or kind of like what we see in the movie theaters back in the day when they're back in, and these are our celebrities, and they're going to show all the magazine covers like, look, magazine, it's Sue Storm. They basically have become celebrity superheroes, and we're going to see like cuts to maybe some of the villains they've taken out, like some minor threats and things like that. Goofy,
the Underminer
villains.
and Goofy from Disney.
Yep. Yep.
I like that.
Yep. The Mole Man, will be like, the Masters of Evil. We'll get like some C-level villains that they've
Right.
taken out. Reed Richards becomes like the expert on cosmic rays. Ben Grimm essentially recoils because he's kind of finding his own way. He's not the basically the ace pilot he once was. Sue Storm gets to basically be kind of like the almost like the Kennedys, where Reed Richards, she's kind of like the Jackie O, where even though she's very talented and smart, gets relegated to be like the fashion model. And then Johnny Storm is enjoying this like he's a young teen idol, like the Rat Pack or something like that. Maybe what was it, Frankie Avalon of the time.
Right.
So that's what we've got. So we've set up this world where the Fantastic Four are just living life. They're in their tower. They're brought in. They're living the life, but something is happening. There is something going along the lines of Reed starts getting some readings on this device he's been doing, which peers into alternate realities.
Alternate realities?
Negative zone.
What?
Yes.
It's what about the positive zone? I think that's where you should.
Well,
whatever.
we're in the positive zone. The negative zone's out there. It's a bunch of like internet haters. No, but then Reed Richards said, "Hey, we want to, show the world there's more to the universe. It's a crazy place. So we're going to go live. We're going to bring in, who's the newsman of the time?
Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite is going to show live the Fantastic Four going into the negative zone. And the team goes in. Walter Cronkite sees them sapped up, and we don't know where they went. The Fantastic Four, all of a sudden, are trapped in the negative zone. We get Blastar. We get Annihilus.
Yes.
We get all these villains that are like real threats. So the Fantastic Four have to actually get rid of their lighter fare. Their lives are threatened. And Reed has to start thinking about what he's going to do to get them out of it, Charlie. So what does he do?
He has to step through a portal, and then all of a sudden they're in the MCU.
So he basically crafts together he brings all his wild hands in coming in. He creates a device that then creates an alternate pathway, and it basically cracks open the world, and the Fantastic Four go in it. But that portal then stays open to the negative zone. Bring forth. They walk in, and all of a sudden they are in the modern MCU.
Right.
It is crazy.
Right.
We get the Young Avengers showing up, the people that are still left that show up, which would be like Hawkeye,
Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel,
Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, maybe some other characters show up.
Captain America, Cap Falk,
and then they're kind of like, hey, we're not bad guys, and they start seeing the world as it is. Crazy. And this is kind of like half the movie is then them just getting acclimated to this modern Marvel world, and they don't know that negative zone is still open, and that's when it comes in, and they have to explain away things. And then we're going to eventually get Galactus at the end of this film, and we are going to get introduced to Victor Von Doom, who is not of the time. He's not back in the day. Okay. He's actually going to be a modern student who sees Reed, he's intrigued, and he wants to basically become his like intern and follow him. And things go awry in one of Reed's experiments.
Excellent.
And that's kind of how it ends, because Reed is trying to bring some of the optimism of his time to this modern day where everything's going apeshit. And according to him, he ends up seeing a threat that is Galactus. And that's how we end the film.
Wow.
I don't think we'll have like a big bad throwdown, but I think we're going to set a lot of things up and make it
because there's going to.
That's how I pitched it.
It's going to be the Mole Man we know, and then Galactus we know, but you feel that he'll be more of a minor functionary, and then John Malkovich's role as Herbie the Robot, which as you already said earlier.
I really want this to be a setup where it's like Galactus, kind of like Thanos, is kind of in the background as a looming threat. And it had much later on, kind of like Thanos was. I think that's the best way to handle it versus, here's Thanos, or here's Galactus, we have to take him down in one movie. I don't think that would be effective. But maybe it's maybe somebody from the negative zone comes in and they have to battle them, and that's the big bad battle.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know how to top that. but I have an idea. Thinking about the Thunderbolts. So
Okay.
it's going to be like this. We know that the Thunderbolts, and again, I'm plucking it from memory. We know for a fact that we're getting the White Widow, we're getting U.S. Agent, Bucky, Winter Soldier, Red Guardian. Help me out if I miss any. Who else is going to be in it?
Taskmaster.
Ghost, Taskmaster. I think that's everybody.
That should be everybody.
So we're already getting the vibe that, do the things that have been set up in the MCU, that this is going to be our government sanctioned blacklist Suicide Squad. Like we kind of were presupposing this. The asterisk is that they will find themselves in opposition to a brand new, off the shelf version of never before seen heroes, drawing its inspiration from the first issue of the 1997 series. So we're going to have, I can't remember all the names of the characters, Songbird, Mach 1, Citizen V, and all of the characters that at the end of the first issue are revealed to be villains. Now, I do believe they're going to have to tailor this around villains that we already know who don't die, because that's kind of a big drawback of the MCU is they tend to kill off their villains a lot of the time, right? So there would have to be kind of a function in the storytelling where this new force breaks on the scene because the Avengers are kind of scattered. So potentially a portion of the first part of this movie is there are global threats. We don't really have the Avengers to call on because they're not organized. Even post blip, where the Sokovia Accords are not really a factor anymore, they kind of got tossed out. We can't really get the heroes together to take care of this thing or that thing, whatever it is. But boom, these Thunderbolts asterisk show up on the scene and they're helping out, but nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows how to get in touch with them. They just appear when shit is going down. You know what I mean? So the government sanctioned team is like, we're, they're a little bit more like, we want to control the narrative. So we want our people to be able to be, Johnny on the spot when stuff's going down. So we really need this group of Thunderbolts to kind of be taken out. We need them to be black ops murdered. So in attempting to do this mission, they discover, but do not reveal to the world, who the Thunderbolts really are, is that they're villains who are faking it as superheroes. And then in order to protect their secret, are faking it to be superheroes Thunderbolts have to kill the Suicide Squad Thunderbolts, and that's your film. It is a lot of cat and mouse. Who's going to make it? Nobody is safe. And it is just this sci-fi / spy thriller / edge of your seat, don't know what's going to go down, who's going to make it in the end. Will the last remaining member or members of the Suicide Squad Thunderbolt team be able to get the word out in time to mobilize the real Avengers, which would happen in another film, to basically to get the secret out there, so that the fake Thunderbolts are not out there executing their master plan to make money and to essentially take over the world. Film.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So you're saying the Thunderbolts team that gets announced is not the heroes, not the team we know about. It's actually a new team called the Thunderbolts, and this team of characters we already know are basically saying, because the Thunderbolts that are announced are kind of like, oh, they're going to fill in and be our new Avengers, and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like, who are these people? And we need to take them out because we don't know anything about it, and they find out. That's a cool premise, Troy. I like that. It's cool. It's a good idea because
well, and again, the only people will know, because people like you and me will know that's the premise of the original comic. But we all know that people who really consume MCU studio films, that are people who are brought in by their love of the original 10-year cycle, basically phase 1 of MCU. They fell in love with the characters that way, and many of them are just not comic readers. Hell, I'm a terrible book reader. Try to get me to read a book, good luck. But something like this, people are like, oh my God, are these all the new Avengers? It's like, so we kind of take them on a ride. Cool idea. Yeah, we take them on a ride. Well, thank you very much. And I will not lie to you, I 100% came up with that on the cuff, which is how this segment works.
Either that or take some NyQuil and you get infused by your brain fog, and it's like, oh, this is a good idea.
You bet.
And I do like the fact that, a lot of people will not know this, so it's kind of
Yeah.
a cool idea. And obviously, hopefully people won't spoil it for people after they've seen the movie, and
Right.
kind of a neat idea to introduce all these new people, and it's like
Right.
all these new superheroes, and that's a cool way.
Right.
And maybe they do pull, to your point, Charlie, maybe they do pull from people we've seen previously and just are disguised enough that people won't know.
Right. I think
Like
that,
villains and things like that.
I think that would absolutely be the right way to do it. So, well, good. Well, I'm curious. I'm sure that my idea is much more fantasy, where your idea seems like it really has more of a chance to move forward, because mine depends on other characters that we haven't found out about. So I am very, very curious to see how that shakes out. Well, all right. Well, that is, my dear friends, that is the end of our program. So thank you as always for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They follow me on the threads.
The
At
threads.
Teoxtra, at Secret Friends Unite. Also check out our LinkTree and check out secretfriendsunite.com for all the good stuff and to see what we're doing.
What are we doing? Keep it in mind, you can always drop a letter to the mailbag, secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. What are you enjoying? What question do you have for us? What's a show topic that you'd like to pitch? We're interested. Drop us a note, and there's a good chance that we could read it or react to it on the show. Whether it's heavily laced with profanity, hey, we're able to edit because we have a great imagination. But anyway, you can find me over on the threads and the Instagram at c3carpenter.com, where I'm just busy doing my regular stuff. My lovely wife April and I do head up the USS Grand Petoskey. That is a chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club. We have had the privilege to help other folks around the state of Michigan get chapters started as well. If you visit our website, ussgrandpetoskey.com, drop us a line. Let's say you live in Michigan. Let's say you live somewhere else. I'm very happy to give you some guidance of where you can find trekkers where you live, because that's what I like to do. Friends, as always, thank you for joining us. It's been a real dippity dip dip, flippity flip flip, flippity fling flang. I'm going to tell you, as always, sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
I have the power to not make a bad film.
We'll see.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.